A little bit scared, but we're not hitting it with any pace, so I don't really mind too much. It's just about having fun. Woo! Let's go. Oh my God.
The weather's just about to change. I can feel some rain.
Well, today wasn't really meant to happen. I finished work earlier than expected and suddenly found myself with a free afternoon. Rather than sitting around at home, I thought I'd make the most of it and head out for a ride. The plan was pretty simple. Ride out through Templestowe, loop around the city, take in some scenery, and hopefully make it back home before the weather turned. The only issue was I was completely underprepared when it came to food. I opened the cupboard and discovered my nutrition plan consisted of an LCM bar, a bag of jelly babies, and whatever else was kind of in my bib shorts. Anyway, not exactly professional athlete material, but sometimes you've just got to work on what you've got. This wasn't about the ride power numbers, personal bests, or trying to set any records. It was just one of those days where getting out on the bike seemed like the right thing to do. One thing I've always enjoyed about heading out this way was how quickly you leave the suburbs behind. Not many people realise how good some of these trails are around the back of Templestowe and Mullum Mullum. The pathway through here is fantastic, plenty of trees, some really cool bridges, and just a nice place to ride a bike. I actually went to school at Whitefriars and somehow never really appreciated how good riding there was right out the back of the school. Funny how you can spend years somewhere and still discover things you've never seen before.
I'm actually a little bit nervous going over this. I'll take it easy. I'm just going to roll through it. Not going to get any jumping action happening. But let's go.
This is the new BMX track out near the Big Apple Peel, and honestly, it looks unreal. I definitely recommend checking it out if you're in the area. It's one of those spots that adds a bit of life to the trail network, and it's great seeing more cycling infrastructure popping up around Melbourne.
Oh my God.
A lot of effort has clearly gone into building it, and it looks like it'd be an absolute blast to ride. So we had to check it out for ourselves, obviously. And in the background you can see me obviously having a good time as well. These flat tabletops kind of freak me out. Like, I don't want to send it too hard, but look, riding through here on the cambers is good fun. It's just the tabletops I freak out a little bit about on.
I love that so much that I want to do it again, but I'm going to do the right side, just over here. This right side with the tabletops. A little bit scared, but we're not hitting it with any pace, so I don't really mind too much. It's just about having fun and just rolling through it, feeling that gravity and everything. The cambers on the left one was pretty sick, but I'm keen to try this right one with some tabletops. I'm a little bit nervous about it though. It does look scary. I actually feel like I might pull out. I don't know. We'll see how we go.
Okay, so a disclaimer, I didn't do the right side. I ended up doing the left side because I just didn't want to hurt myself. I was a little bit not confident. I've never really done the BMX tracks before. Not the most confident rider on those things. I don't want to hurt myself on something like that, so I just left it. At this point, I was starting to realise my nutrition strategy might have had a few flaws. The jelly babies were doing their best. The LCM bar had long since been dealt with, and I still had a fair bit of riding left to do. I know some people are out here with perfectly calculated carb intake plans and colour-coded nutrition schedules. Meanwhile, I'm basically operating on primary school lunchbox supplies. Now, through this part on the trail, I always find it a little bit off-putting. Like, I'm riding along and then just all the deviations, ups and downs, is genuinely easier and cleaner to ride on the side of the footpath. Which I have learnt a few things about that when you're going from dirt to footpath and you're travelling in the same direction as the path. Just to be really careful when you transition from the dirt to path, because you can slip, your front tyre gets up or your back tyre and everything like that. Now, every time that I come past this like supplier of daisies in Heidelberg, I'm always like, oh, and then there's a person here, so I obviously give way to them, they're climbing. They have priority there, but I come down here and I always go slow because I'm like, oh, I pull out 1 foot just in case, because it's actually so steep and the cornering is so sharp. So I just pull one out. I'm a little bit nervous with that one, but we roll down, get some pace, and we go over this little bridge that links us to the Yarra main trail. So that brings us from the Heidelberg direction, and now we're on the main trail towards the city. There's a random council worker car just there as well. But at this point, there's a big headwind along the eastern freeway. There always seems to be, obviously, directions of the cars and everything like that. I've got a bit of shelter on my right, but nothing on the left, which is where the cars are travelling. Now we're rolling along the boulevard. This is always one of the favourite roads to ride on. It's got a nice flow to it, the scenery is great, and usually there's a bit of pace through here as well. One thing I always make sure though is checking behind me before moving out into the lane. A quick head check takes half a second and can save a lot of trouble. There are plenty of cars through here and everyone's just trying to get everywhere, so let's do it all safely. It's one of those roads where you can enjoy yourself while still staying switched on.
Made it to the end of the boulevard. I'm pretty cooked actually, because I didn't really fuel myself properly before this ride and during this ride. I just got jelly babies and LCMs. Pop to the cafe, get myself something on the way back, and happy days. Let's go.
Thankfully, I came across a cafe I'd never been to before, and honestly, this muffin may have saved the ride. I was getting to the point where my legs were starting to feel a little flat, and I knew I needed something more substantial. It wasn't exactly cheap either. I think it was like $6.50 plus the 7-cent surcharge. Like, what is that? At that price, I was expecting it to come with like a small shareholding in the business. Still, money well spent because it definitely got me moving again.
All right, now we're done with the cafe. It's time to head back on the track, back through Monash, I believe. It's something new. I haven't done this trail before. I just formed it on my computer at home, so I am looking forward to it. Let's get right into it.
This is the part of the trail that is through the city. I actually really enjoyed it. It's along the Yarra, which is great. Right here, the graffiti, that's pretty cool. Also here, the boatyard part for, I think, at some school. You have to be very careful with that because sometimes they walk across with their like 10-meter boats, and it gets a little bit hairy at times. But here we go. We do a little bit of a hairpin around this corner, up onto the bridge. I think it's next to St. Kevin's, the high school there. But this little like floating suspended boardwalk's pretty cool as well. Gets a little bit tight under there, but look, it's pretty cool. It's very smooth and flat. Here's the velodrome as well from our previous video. We actually rode past this, so now I know how to get to it without driving. This is actually my first time riding along Blind Creek Trail.
I also think this ride has now become a race against the weather. It's looking very cloudy. Not with a chance of being also, unfortunately. So let's keep the head down and let's keep going pretty far.
Mostly following whatever Garmin was telling me to do and hoping for the best. It's a really nice trail though. The creek running alongside is pretty scenic and a good change of pace from being out on the roads. There are a few blind corners though, so here's worth taking it easy and being mindful of other trail users. Not every ride needs to be flat out. And also, we live to ride another day. All of a sudden, I found myself riding through a golf course, which was definitely not something I expected when I left home a few hours earlier.
This is sick. I'm literally going through like the middle of the Melbourne golf course. How cool is that?
I'll be honest, I spent most of this section quietly hoping nobody sliced one.
I think that bloke's even struggling with the weather coming up.
If a rogue ball came coming my way, I was praying for a body shot or a helmet shot. Anywhere except the face or the family jewels. That would have been a difficult one to explain, for sure, on the bike ride. Hey, I went for a bike ride and, well, I got hit in the nuts by a golf ball. This section right here through the tunnel freaked me out a little bit. Obviously, you can see pretty well with the camera, but because I'm wearing polarized Ray-Bans, it was super dark. So I was just trusting the surface, as I say in the next clip coming up, but far out, man. It was a little bit sketchy, but it looks really clear and clean. Thankfully, I survived.
That was dark through there. I was really trusting the surface and my bike to just glide me over that. Wow.
By this stage, the ride was definitely starting to catch up with me. Nothing dramatic. I wasn't completely falling apart or anything, but the legs were feeling it and the fatigue was beginning to creep in, which isn't exactly surprising when your fueling strategy started with jelly babies and an LCM bar. Sometimes you get away with it. Today was pushing that theory to its limits, for sure, especially after working in the morning. The other thing I started noticing was the weather. The clouds were looking pretty damn average. Every now and then I'd feel a couple of tiny little specks and drops, and you know that smell when rain's coming? I'm sure most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. The air changes, everything feels a little bit diffy, and suddenly I wasn't quite sightseeing anymore. Now I was racing the weather. I really didn't want to get caught out in this rain this far from home, so the goal became pretty simple. Keep turning the pedals and beat the rain.
Just ticked over the 80 kilometre mark. I am absolutely pretty cooked. I haven't fueled properly at all. So, lollies, muffin, obviously a bar. Ice my drinks, it's just not enough. I didn't have any white bread to put jam with at all to pack some sandwiches, and I've never had jokes before, so I wasn't wanting to really risk that as I'm riding today, so.
And that was the ride. Just under 90 kilometres, 800 metres of climbing, and 3.5 hours out on the bike. No records, no crazy power numbers, just a really enjoyable afternoon exploring parts of Melbourne I either hadn't seen before or hadn't visited in a long time. These are honestly some of my favourite rides. You get to take things in, discover new roads and trails, and just enjoy being out there. It's also great aerobic training too, because you can keep things steady and accumulate a lot of time on the bike. Well, unless somebody overtakes you, then suddenly it becomes very personal. I'm sure we've all been there. I made it home before the rain arrived, which was the main thing. And most importantly, I got home to Arlo, who turned 1 the other day, so say happy birthday to him in the comment section below. Not a bad way to spend a free afternoon. Back on the bike. Thanks for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed. Happy birthday to Arlo, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Time to game. Let's go.